think twice before you speak, because your words and influence will sow the seed of either success or failure in another mind. Hello, my name is Richard Haggerty. I'm a certified master hypnotherapist and trainer of NLP. I'm also a certified life coach and sports psychologist. And I've been working for over 14 years to help people make changes in their lives. And what I'd like to do today is to tell you a little bit about why I'm so passionate about this area of hypnosis and hypnotherapy, and how it could help you in the same way that it's helped other people, just by having a little bit more awareness of what this is about. These are some of the clients that I've had, some of the types of people that I've worked with. In fact, over the years, I've worked with Premiership soccer players, people on the national side, folk who have struggled through challenges with their mindset to score goals, to literally perform. People who've been so stuck, not knowing what to do, they've come to see me and been able to go out again and start scoring. I've worked with some of the X Factor quarterfinals, people who've been working their way there to try to get into that position, but people who have been so terrified of being in front of a group of people that they have been unable, literally they've put off doing any kind of performing for years because they have been so frightened and fearful of that. And I've helped them to overcome that and be able to move forward with their dreams using hypnosis. These are some of my hypnosis clients, so they very kindly give me some wonderful endorsements and some fab photos of them. So a gentleman here, Justin, wanted to improve his tennis game and now has a fantastic backhand. A lady who went on to become a world champion at natural bodybuilding due to some of the work that we did together. There's a lovely lady in the top hand corner there who's a student who wanted to overcome social phobia, frightened of being around people, and also went on to stop smoking. And a lovely lady called Emma, who's a journalist locally, who turned up at my house one day and said, "Look, I've got 5 minutes here. My photographer and the person with the video camera's got to go off, so really I need you to, I need you to hypnotise me, help me to overcome this problem, and he's got to be gone in 5 minutes." So that was kind of quite interesting. It was quite an interesting one, and she gave me a wonderful video testimonial afterwards of how surprised she was at how relaxed and how much of a change you could feel inside yourself in just a short period of time. So what you'll discover today, I want to give you an outline so you're really clear of what you're going to understand today and why this is something that will be of such fascination to you. I mean, this is an area that has literally changed my life. It's changed what I believe is possible. I have much less of a belief in the kind of limitations, even some of the cultural limitations that people would often have now because of the experience that I've seen of working with hundreds of people to change their lives, and also what I've seen improve in my life as well. So today we're going to look at a definition of hypnosis, so we're all really clear. We're going to come back to this definition because once you understand it, it will remove a lot of the mystique around it. We're going to look at the definition of trance as well, because to understand hypnosis, you need to understand what trance is. We're going to look at 4 common everyday trances. So these are things that will immediately resonate with you, and you will understand why one of my colleagues called Stephen Walensky wrote a book called Trance as People Live, because on one level we are going into these different states of focus all day long, and you're going to discover how that impacts you in your life and what you can do about it. We're going to look at 3 different types of hypnosis. There are many more, but we're going to look under 3 very broad categories so that you understand the difference between what you think hypnosis is currently, probably in your mind now, and what you will think by the end of the presentation. We're also going to look at the subconscious mind. We're going to look at suggestion, and we're going to start off here with it's kind of like a mission for me now, really, not to persuade anyone that hypnosis is really useful for you, but much more to be able to clarify and really explain what it is that hypnosis is and is not, so that those people who really want to change, those people who want to make benefit from that, people who feel stuck in their lives in any area, whether it's a fear, a phobia, an anxiety, whether it's something to do with mindset, that they understand that there are choices, there are options that are available to them, and hypnosis is a very good, very proven one. This definition here is from it's the US federal definition that they use to associate with job titles, and it's a particularly good one for hypnosis, and it simply defines it as the establishment of selective thinking and the bypassing of the critical factor of the mind. So what that means is your everyday state of thinking that comes up automatically in a particular situation, by getting in an altered state, by relaxing, if you will, and getting in an altered state very, very quickly, usually through relaxation, but not always through that, will allow you to focus your mind on something different and start to build up a deep belief inside that you can change. One of my mentors last night reminded me actually that the bypassing of the critical factor, and it's really more the establishment of acceptable selective thinking to the individual, because what we're going to find out later on is that hypnosis, at least in the therapeutic context, is always about self-hypnosis. It's always about your choosing to enter into a relationship with the person you're working with to take charge of your mind, and they facilitate that process. They teach you tools, they teach you techniques, and I show you very quickly how you can take charge of your mind. In fact, people tend to come to me when they've tried everything else. So the people want to stop smoking, the people want to lose weight. They come because they've tried everything else. They've tried traditional methods, and they've tried drugs, and they've tried Weight Watchers, and they've tried patches, and they've tried acupuncture. So they come because they're out of options in a lot of cases. It's not usually the first port of call. And the reason that they're stuck is because they've got old habits that are ingrained there. They want to change, but they don't know how to bypass their own, they don't need to get past their own mind. It is possible. It can feel very good, and it's actually a lot simpler to do than most people think. So this is the definition that we're going to use, in fact, for all the types of hypnosis we'll look at, that it's the establishment of selective thinking, it's the bypassing of the critical factor of the mind. So what is trance? It's really helpful to have a definition of trance, because trance is really sometimes the end state or part of the process of hypnosis, but it is always the end product of the hypnotic process. And trance is simply a state of focused attention where you are so focused on one thing to the exclusion of all else. You are focused literally on one idea, perhaps in your mind, something that is perhaps imminent, that's coming up, that is causing you to think about that and create emotions and have certain thoughts. It can be something external, perhaps a beautiful sunset, something else that captures your attention in such a way that everything else drifts into the background. You haven't been aware of the other sounds in the room until they've caught your attention. You haven't even been aware of the sensations of your feet on the floor until you pay attention to them, because you've been so focused on something else. So let's look at 4 different types of trance that we all go into each day, so that you can just see what these look like and you can experience them for yourself. Okay. So this is my wonderful niece Holly, and the text trance, or the iPhone trance. Where and in fact, you see this, you're in the office and the phone goes and someone picks it, or their mobile phone goes. They kind of drop everything, they pick it up, it's like they'll sort of disappear out the room, they're in the corridor, they're completely unaware of anything else around you. That phone that goes off, and we're all the same, our phone goes off and it's the nursery calling, or it's your partner or something. Is everything okay? You're completely into that trance. You feel the emotions shift in your body really quickly. You feel your thinking, your breathing shifts, and you're immediately in an altered state. In this case, I think actually she's probably playing a game on there as well rather than texting, but she's so focused on that one thing that the rest of the world has drifted off, and I know that because we were all trying to call her to leave the coffee shop, and she was not very forthcoming in that, because she was just so wonderfully fixated. It's a normal, very natural, it's just a natural part of these circadian, ultradian rhythms throughout each day. We naturally go into these patterns every 90 minutes anyway, where we start to drift off. Second type of hypnosis, very well known one, highway hypnosis. And this is simply where you're driving along, and your mind is wandering consciously, and you're thinking about things, yet you're still able to drive. You're still able to do quite a technical series of processes, in terms of observation, managing stuff. I drove 900 miles last week in a little 4 days, because we went to visit a family, a relative who's just convalescing and is doing a wonderful, really inspiring job of getting well in quite difficult circumstances. So we all went down to lend our support, driving along, and you cannot do that. If you had to do that consciously for that period of time, it would be exhausting. But your body knows how to automate that process, and to carry it on in a very, very safe way, by and large. And in fact, overwhelmingly, it's when you trust in that process and let that go. And you just allow that to flow, that it can be a really wonderful, safe experience, and you can get from A to B without having to make much effort consciously. The TV trance, again, it's just, in fact, the study showed in the 60s when TV started getting much more prevalent in homes, and used to see them everywhere, that people would actually study the brainwave patterns of people watching TV, and within about 30 seconds there's a measurable shift in the brainwave activity of people. They become much more passive, much more open to sort of ideas and suggestion, and ever since then it's been used very, very widely by politicians, marketers, advertising, because we're there. It's a time of day when their defences are down, and these ideas and suggestions, and we're going to look at some of those the power of some of these suggestions that come through to us as we go on. The TV trance is a very natural part of the day, and a lot of people like to use that to unwind, where they can just let their mind relax. They can forget about everything else, and they can just focus on that one thing to the exclusion of all else, and it can be very healthy, it can be very beneficial, depending on the type of programs, of course, that you're watching. And another wonderful type of trance that statistically we're doing less of in the UK at the moment, because we are all on our iPads and we're on our other gadgets more. But reading is something we enjoy by people of all ages, and from whatever age, being able to just lose yourself in a book. It's a wonderful way to explore the imagination. Okay. So. What I'd like to do is, because it's still, I think, sometimes a little bit theoretical in people's mind, if I give them examples. So what I want to do is I want to give you an invitation to experience trance now. And you can feel free to participate in this and to whatever degree you want over the next 30 seconds to 45 seconds, okay? So all I want you to do is to just observe the black dot up there. And as you observe that, just allow yourself to stay focused on that one point to the exclusion of all else. But at the same time, as you stay focused on that, allow your peripheral vision to expand out, such that you're aware of all the white space on the projector screen, while staying focused on the black spot. Whilst you look at the black spot, allow your vision to expand out further, so that you're aware of the sides of the walls, the ceiling and the floor at the same time, and all the space in between, as you stay focused on that spot. And as you do, just become aware of your breathing. So as you observe the spot, you're aware of your breathing. In fact, you may choose to take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale out your mouth as you observe the spot. the more you observe the spot, notice that you can allow your vision to expand out, to notice the space to the left and the right, just out the corner of your eyes, above and below. You may find that it's still very clear, but you may find that it is slightly different from the normal vision. And just notice that you may feel more relaxed. And in this state, just continue to imagine what it would be like by the end of today, having had things go exactly the way that you want. And just imagine how you might be feeling looking back and having had a very successful day. Good. So we're going to come back to this in a little bit, because this is a very simple demonstration of how to do what we call a form of self-hypnosis, where you can get focused and shift from the trance that you're in into a more focused trance. And this is what we use for self-hypnosis. So I use this with clients who are going to be able to study more effectively. I teach this to students. I teach this also to sports professionals who are going to improve the quality of their life. And you can get very, very good at doing this and getting into this state where you can focus at will on what you want. And we'll see some of the implications of that very soon. There are 3 types of hypnosis, and let's not beat about the bush. This is the one that comes to mind first. So let's have a look. Stage hypnosis is a very old cutting. It's been around for a very long time, stage hypnosis. And usually the question comes up: is this true? Is it real? Is actually what we're seeing what is going on? And the answer is really that probably depends on where you are in the world. But yes, it is real. However, it is something where it's a show, it's a performance. This is a performance where people, a very small minority of the audience, want to go and have a good night out. They are highly extrovert. They want to go and let their hair down, and they want a reason to do that. And these are the sort of folk who, after 4 or 5 pints, a few drinks, would quite happily, with suggestions and encouragement from their friends, dance on the tables. I know that no one in this room falls into that category, but the reality is, it's an entertainment show. It's designed. It is purely for entertainment, with somebody who will give very authoritarian commands within a very particular context of a lot of people there. And due to there being a lot of people in the room there is what we call social compliance. Okay, people don't. If you're suddenly up in front of a group of 500 people and you've chosen to go up there, and somebody tells you to close your eyes, you're probably going to do it. Because you don't really want to look a fool. Okay, so it is really to do with entertainment, and the people who come up are very pre-screened, not before the show starts, but as the show starts, they will typically take about half an hour to go through to involve the whole audience and find those 5 or 10 people who are really the ones who are going to be the most suitable. Okay. So this I really like, because everyone kind of thinks about you're going around clucking like a chicken. But I thought this was kind of quite a nice little one. I just hope it doesn't make me walk around like a human. This actually is actually an advertising flyer, but I really like this guy. You can tell, he's a guy who does this professionally. 5 ways to develop a more penetrating stare. Shock controversy, stage volunteer, made to do stuff you didn't particularly feel like doing. And he's playing on the fact that this is a show. This is it's about entertainment. And if you view it through that particular lens, it will make more sense. Covert hypnosis, on the other hand, the second type of hypnosis, is when you don't even know that it's happening, and this happens to all of us every single day. So, if you look at this picture here, they aren't hedges or anything like that. Those are people. This is one of the Nuremberg rallies, and you look at the number of people there who have been, who have gone along with some, probably on retrospect, some probably sort of quite dodgy decisions and dodgy ideals, but through a set of rehearsed and repeated suggestions and a particular context where they were influenced, were able to go and do things they wouldn't normally do. Covert hypnosis goes by many names. It can be called conversational hypnosis, disguised hypnosis, waking hypnosis. I particularly like this one because this really old advert from the 50s. read how the author hypnotises a room full of people without their knowledge using a common household cooking ingredient. And it does make me wonder what that ingredient was. But this, and it's obviously designed, you know, to draw you and send the coupon back in the paper. Covert hypnosis works simply like this. If you think of advertising, it's a very good way of thinking about it, where a strong emotion is raised, be it laughter, can be, you know, could even be sadness, could be disgust, and then that is linked to the product, because any time a strong emotion is linked to a product or an idea, it tends to be much more memorable and it becomes much more powerful over time. And what it does is the emotion, once you have an emotion about something, you have immediately bypassed the critical factor of the mind. That's the whole point. So this one here, this image here, has a lot of power, and Coca-Cola even 10 years ago used to spend at least $1 billion a year on their marketing and advertising. It's a huge budget. Why do they do that? Because they're looking to bypass the critical factor of the conscious mind. One of my colleagues and mentors says, you know, over the years, some of the very big companies, they phone them up and they say, you know, can you tell us, can you look at this advert for us? Because we need to know how to bypass the critical factor of the mind. Okay, they're looking to do this all the time. So this company here, some fantastic marketing they've done over the years. Mark Thomas was hooked up to an MRI scan a few years ago, and what they found was his brainwave pattern changed. It shifted completely, very quickly, when he even just looked at an image of this. That it was so conditioned, even in him at his age, and even though he's written books about Coca-Cola and what he feels about them, but it still creates a strong emotion inside because of the marketing. And then, of course, they're taken to a whole new level now, where it gets personalised. You know, I mean, what's more personal than your name? You know, on that. I mean, you know, these are very smart people. Really understand that.
They're not my fags, by the way.
I know, it's terrible. I know. So here's therapeutic. This is really this is my speciality, and this is hypnosis used as a therapy. So hypnotherapy. It's all about, and the hypnotherapy, this is much more so than the other two approaches. This is where you decide to learn how to focus your mind to achieve your goals, how to bypass the limitations you've got. If I can't do this, I'm worried about that, I'm fearful of this, I'm frightened of that, I can't change this habit. And it's working with somebody to make that change. It's a partnership where you're always in control, but you're learning how to take control using self-hypnosis. So in this context, all the hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You're very much aware, very much alert during the process, but you are becoming you know, much more able to make the changes that you want. And you know, the idea is that you have such wonderful abilities inside you. You know, if you think about it, plenty of times in your life where you feel carefree, relaxed, fun, you're having a laugh, but there are other times when you have fear come up. Well, wouldn't it be nice if you felt as bubbly and happy as you did, and carefree as you did in some cases, and you felt that, and you were able to transfer those feelings over, and automatically feel much more like that in those other states? Wouldn't that be more useful for you? Now, you don't have to be quite as bubbly and quite as happy, but imagine what it would be like if you know, your greatest fear suddenly became something that was, you know, something that actually intrigued you or fascinated you. And it is possible to do that. We know it's possible to do that. In fact, there are some very well-proven techniques which we can use, some therapeutic hypnotic anchoring, which are very good for changing this. So all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, and it really is about a choice. It's about you choosing to work with the hypnotherapist to make the changes that you want. So what can hypnosis help with? Well, it can help you stop smoking. Hundreds of people stop smoking. You have to obviously want to do it. You know, two people, it's a common thing, two people phone me up, one says, you know what, oh, I just want to stop smoking, I hate it. The other phones up and says, you know what, I've really thought this through, and we've got a little boy who's 3, I know that I'm killing myself, I know that I cannot exercise in the same way I could 5 years ago, I get out of breath all the time, I've thought this through and I want to make a change and I'm committed and I know this is going to work for me, okay? One of those people is ready to go ahead, the second one. The first person, who I spoke with last night, is going to do a little bit of work in the background to get themselves up to where they need to be to make that change. But you can do that, and you can do that in one session. Very good for weight loss, very good for taking charge of patterns and habits that you need to change inside yourself. Insomnia, also very good for helping prevent this. and it's a very, 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 there's lots of wonderful things you can do to help with that. Medical use as well. I mean, hypnosis has a rich medical history. It was used to help, before the advent of chloroform, it was the only way you could carry out an amputation without just going ahead and doing it. So, somebody decided that it was going to be a very good idea, rather than the trauma that people had of just having limbs sawn off, if they could get them in a state where they would have anaesthesia, not be able to feel anything, be able to give them suggestions so their body could heal quickly and be able to do that. And they had amazing results. That changed with the advent of chloroform, but because that became, once that was introduced, that did change things and hypnosis was used much less for about 100 years, but then there was a big resurgence in the medical community. And so the American Medical Association, this is from the cover of Life magazine back in 1958, had a big feature about this because it was approved, certainly the anaesthesia aspect and used for dental treatment and for some types of operations was approved and accredited way back then. So the subconscious, if you're going to understand hypnosis, you do need to understand the subconscious, and the subconscious is everything, all your latent abilities, and all those abilities that you're not aware of right now, all the information you're not aware of right now, all the feelings and thoughts, all the abilities you have to walk, to talk, the languages you can speak, the words you know, your resourcefulness to do crosswords, to do Sudoku, all the stuff that's in there, but it's in the background, and a lot of that is just latent, it's just not tapped. And if you want to tap it and you want to influence it, then you can do it through suggestion. There are many ways to do it, but we are constantly giving suggestions all the time. And I want to show you now, I want to give you an example of how powerful it is so you can learn to give better suggestions to yourself and other people. Okay? Because suggestions, unless somebody says something to you and you stop and you analyse every single thing that they say, then it's going to be, essentially it's going to bypass the critical factor of your mind. So we want to make sure the suggestions we give ourselves and other people are as resourceful as they can be. Okay? So 2 ways to give effective suggestions. You must focus on what you want, not what you don't want, and you must repeat it at least 3 times. Let me give you a quick example. A lot of people say, I don't want to eat chocolate cakes. I don't want to eat chocolate cakes. I don't want to eat chocolate cakes. Well, what happens? That's what you're focusing on. So the shift would be, I choose to eat, an apple in the morning. We're shifting what we're doing to what you do want. Okay. Let me show you how powerful this is. Even if I say don't, I'm going to give you a suggestion. It's going to be impossible for you not to comply. Impossible. However hard you try. Do not think of a pink elephant. Do not think of a pink elephant. Do not think of a pink elephant. Do not, whatever you do, hear the word pink elephant, see it, imagine it in your mind. Okay. It's just, it's impossible because the mind doesn't process the word not. Negation is just a function of grammar. Okay, your mind's going to work in images and feelings which are going to be associated with whatever it is that you focus on. So, suggestions are so important because in our daily life, this is from the work of Carol Dweck, professor at Stanford. If you or I want to give a suggestion to someone, it's very tempting to say, someone's done a good job at work. Oh, you're such a good people person. You're so good with people. It's far better from the research, rather than saying you're really talented or you're really good, which establishes a fixed mindset that that's just the way they are. To give something, to suggest, well done, you've tried really hard, and to accredit it to the application that they have given, and the application, the effort that they've put in. And what we know is from students and from children, if you reward the effort that they put in, they develop what's called a growth mindset. And over time, that encourages them to deal with challenges, to have a go, to learn new things. If we say to people, you are just naturally talented, or the inference is, you're just a natural people person, then when something comes up, the challenge is that they may not, that they may just not feel as resourceful at dealing with that, and it will actually create much more stress and change, trouble inside. Okay, so hypnosis. What we've looked at today is simply the fact that trance is all around you. Hypnosis is all around you. We are giving suggestions all the time. We're giving suggestions to each other all the time. We're giving suggestions to ourselves, just automatically, just the way we talk to ourselves. It's a really good idea to learn to be able to shift the way that you feel and to be able to focus on what you want. Because you can even suggest to yourself, for instance, that, advertising, will have minimal effect on me. I will only purchase those things that are going to be useful and for my highest good. Now imagine what that's going to do to your budget, and imagine what that's going to do to some of the people who are spending billions of dollars being able to do this. Hypnosis works. It's all around you. It's a wonderful way to change your life. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people overcome very challenging things in their life, things that they come to me when they think that there is no other hope. There's nothing else they can do. And I specialise in doing that, showing look, you can do this. You have the power inside you, and you can do it with hypnosis. Thank you.
Excellent.
In fact, I did have I forgot. There we go.
How did you become registered, or how did you go through the process of becoming registered?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. There was no kind of unified sort of body kind of worldwide or in the UK. There were 4 main organisations for hypnotherapy in the UK that you can become registered with. But then there are other sort of smaller ones. I trained with, I spent several months actually in America and in the UK training with, and then several years actually training with some people who specialise, who are already sort of registered therapists, addictions counsellors and marriage therapists, who then sort of learned NLP and hypnosis later on and sort of brought back to all the traditional counselling that they did. But essentially there was the way to do that with the organisation I'm registered with at the moment, the APHP. I had to submit some case studies for what I've done, as well as all the certifications of the trainings that I've done. You need to have a certain number of hours, several hundred hours of experience of working with people, and so on and so forth. So it will vary for the different organisations, but typically they'll ask for 300 or 500 hours before they're going to register you with that organisation. A certain number of maybe 3 to 5 years of experience, and also want to know what you specialise in. Does that help? Yeah. Okay.
I've seen a program last week about anesthesia, and they gave an example of, or they show an example of a dentist performing the extraction of a wisdom tooth.
Yes.
Under hypnosis, and it was really surprising to see the effect. Although the subject at the time did say that he felt the pain.
Yes.
But if it is the level of pain that he experienced at the time, and the benefit of him not having all day, and the numbness.
Yes.
So it was really, and the idea of using hypnosis, for example, in childbirth as well.
Yes.
And it used to be a valid method in the past to be used in in surgery.
Definitely.
So it is very interesting.
What we found is one of my mentors who specialises in dental treatments, for surgery, where there's no anaesthetic used, just the hypnosis, and people are generally sort of trained, given they go through and they learn how to do that, very deeply advanced. They test that very thoroughly. Is that there are less complications afterwards, and they tend to get better because sometimes the medicine or the anaesthetic or the anaesthesia that's used can create additional problems. And we also know as well, we've talked about suggestion here, it's really important. When I go to the dentist, I've had dentists before say to me, I'm going to give you this injection now, and you know what, this is going to really hurt. That's not the kind of suggestion you want to be giving to people going into surgery. Another thing we found is that people are very aware during surgery of the conversation that's going on around them, the suggestions. So we have to be really careful because people don't say, I had one of my colleagues who is a fabulous hypnotherapist, and he was, I think it was in his 70s or 80s, he had some heart surgery. He was just about to go in, and he knew one of the people who's walking with specialists going by, and he said, I'm just going for surgery now, with major heart surgery. What do you, am I going to be okay? And what he was hoping for was a suggestion like, you're going to be fine, because that's what you want to hear in that situation, And his colleague looked over and said, we'll do our best, And so he's like, oh my, he understands this, but people in authority, particularly doctors and stuff, we tend to accept what they say. It bypasses our critical factor. easily. So yeah, you're right. I mean, the anaesthesia is very, very easy. It'll take me like a few seconds to show you how to do that in your hand and how to get that. What we normally do first of all, using something called catalepsy, is demonstrate how easy it is to get analgesia. So with analgesia, the difference is you can feel the sensation. You could feel me touching your hand or pinching it, but it wouldn't hurt. So it's got that kind of numbed quality, and that's often what is used in that. That's brilliant. Thank you.